Tonight, the head of the powerful House Appropriations Committee joins us, Congresswoman Nita Lowey, here to discuss how the Dems are ramping up pressure on the president, the Mueller report, and we discuss much more. Then, most of the Democratic field for 2020, they were in New York today, and they were there to catch up with the candidates we were. Also, Valerie Jarrett, she'll join us, the former close Obama advisor, talking about her time in the White House, the Trump White House, and her brand new book. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I am Richard French. Now, as President Trump visits the U.S. Mexico border in California today, 20 states have banded together in a lawsuit to block his emergency declaration to get border wall funding. Several states they're in a reviewing area, including New York, New Jersey, and Maryland, all part of the suit. Now, the battle over Trump's tax returns could also be headed for a legal fight. In fact, reports saying the president willing to take it all the way to the Supreme Court and his legal team already trying to block it. The House Ways and Means Committee, they've requested 6 years of returns from the IRS. Here is Trump's response when he was asked about that just today.
I'm under audit, but that's up to whoever it is. From what I understand, the law is 100% on my side.
A loud debate about that. But anyway, the battle continues over the aforementioned Mueller report. House Democrats, they've authorized a subpoena to get the entire thing released. Take a listen to Congressman Jerry Nadler explaining why he believes they need to see the whole thing. The New York Democrat, he chairs the Judiciary Committee.
The committee must see everything, as was done in every prior instance. Obviously, some material will have to be redacted before it's released to the public to protect privacy, to protect the various rights. But the committee is entitled and must see all the material and make judgments as to what can be redacted for the public release by ourselves.
Also, some people on Mueller's team, they're speaking out for the first time. The Times and the Washington Post saying they are frustrated with the way that the Attorney General, William Barr, has handled things. They claim these prosecutors believe that Barr has failed to adequately portray the findings of their probe and that they were more troubling for President Trump than Barr to this point has indicated. Well, joining me now is Congresswoman Nita Lowey. She, a Democrat from New York, and she chairwoman of the all-powerful House Appropriations Committee. Just another week in Washington, right?
It's a pleasure for me to be home
yes.
in Westchester, and delightful to see you again.
As with you. I'm going to ask you the questions I get most often on the subjects I just hit on. The first of which is the Mueller probe. People are saying, well, wait a second. If Barr says we're going to get this thing in 3 weeks or so, why subpoena? Why not wait till we see what comes out, if it's too overly redacted or not? Why is it important for Democrats to get their hands on it now?
I think it was an embarrassment for Attorney General Barr and the president and anybody who worked on that report to get 4 pages in supposedly a summary of a 400-page report. We're the Congress of the United States. We're entitled to have that report, and I strongly suggest they release it now.
Do you believe, and Adam Schiff, your colleague in the House, said as head of the intelligence, there's an inevitability that we are going to hear from Bob Mueller, if necessary by subpoena, and maybe not just with one committee, but many. Do you think sooner rather than later, Bob Mueller is going to raise his right hand and then tell basically to the world what he found in his nearly 2-year-long probe?
I think what's essential that we get the entire report. It should be made public, frankly. Taxpayer dollars paid for that report. We're entitled to know whether or not Bob Mueller will testify publicly. I don't know, but I want to read the entire report, and so do all my colleagues.
I raise my hand as a member of the public here. I want to read it too. At the end of the day, you think you're going to get to see it all, and do you think we'll get to see it all?
I have confidence that the pressure will be so high that they will have to show us that report. Whether they do it as a result of requests from the Congress and the public, or whether there'll be a lawsuit to insist. As you know, there are several that are pressuring them to release the report. We must see that report, and in my judgment, the public must see that report.
Next to these tax returns, so I got from somebody today, say, Rich, what are they trying to do? Embarrass Trump? Tell the people at home Forget the legalities. The courts will figure this out one way or the other. And there's statutes on the books, almost 100 years old, that says, you know, the president may have to release it. Leaving that aside, why should we, the people, and you obviously in the legislative branch, be able to see the returns of a president? What are you looking for, and more specifically, what are you concerned about?
All I know is I pay my taxes, and most people I know pay their taxes, and the President of the United States has a responsibility to pay his taxes. And for him to say he's been audited for the last year, for the last 4 years, for the last 10 years, so he can't release his taxes is nonsense. We are entitled to know, and I would hope that the president would release his taxes just in one area, the emolument clause. And Ivanka Trump and all her products that she sells, the Trump Hotel in Washington, who benefited from that? Frankly, the efforts on the part of other people in the family to build hotels in every place in the world. He must release his taxes, and I would like him to do it now.
Do you think when this is said and done, whether his term ends in 2 years, or if he's here for another 6, or if he gets pushed out early, regardless, that Washington returns to normal, or are you going to have to codify the norms into law? Meaning, will you guys have to come up with something that every president or every nominee for president has to release their returns, or take certain things that we took for granted and actually put them in black and white letter law?
Frankly, this is a unique situation, a unique president, a president who speaks in vulgarities, a president who doesn't seem to respect the rule of law. I have never seen this before. I may be mistaken, Rich, but I think every president with whom I've worked have released their taxes.
I want to get to the budget, and I know you're talking about this in the district here on a couple levels. First, before I get into the budget and what may surprise people, what's in it and what's not, the idea, tell people why they should care if the president declares an emergency and says, I don't need to go through Congress. I'm going to appropriate X amount of money that I want, and I'll pick it from where I want to have it sent. Tell the average person at home why they should care if he does that.
First of all, they should read Article 1 of the Constitution. It is the Congress that writes the budget, and I am privileged to be chair of the committee that writes the budget. And this is an expression of our values. For example, when the president says, I want $8 billion for the wall, I'd rather put $8 billion in after-school programs and education, Head Start, to make sure that everyone has the opportunity in health care. There are many, many items in the budget, 12 subcommittees of the Budget Committee that I am privileged to support and fund. And just to remind your viewers, when the president requested $8 billion, then he went down to $5 billion for the wall, we ended up in a bipartisan way. I work with Senator Shelby, the Republican chair in the Senate, with $1.375 for the wall. So this is a process that belongs to the Congress. We welcome the president's suggestion, but he's not going to tell me what to do. So I wish I was sometime in the tax committee, but I'm thinking about what I do in the appropriations committee when the president took action to not allow deductions in their taxes. House, Senate, White House. This was an embarrassment. That is so critical to homeowners.
A lot of our viewers are going to be shocked. They've all heard about this. But when they don't get the refund, when all of a sudden they look at the deductions or lack thereof, there's going to be jaws that are going to drop. I think this is going to be, as much as we've talked about it, a major surprise to a whole lot of people. Do you think I'm right?
You are so right, and I would like to say to all your viewers, maybe the president was taking revenge on New York because they didn't vote for him. Or many people do, but the majority did not. Not to allow deductions of state and local taxes in one of the highest tax states in the country is an obscenity, and it's this president's fault.
as a party, do you remember the Democratic Party as spread out as they are now, in that you have some candidates who willingly embrace the label of socialist, and you have others who said, well, progressive isn't enough. Are you concerned at all that in 2020, Democrats may do more damage to themselves than even the Republican opponent?
I am concerned with some of the discussions, some of the labels, some of the actions that are people taking. I've always been a Democrat, and Democrats stand for investing in health care. I support Medicare for all. I support investing in infrastructure. So I'm a Democrat, and I don't think we should be pushed to the left or to the right. We should take positions on what we think is fair for all in my district and other districts around the country.
Finally, and I want to ask you to name names. Yesterday, the president said, or this week he said, that he doesn't like wind turbines, and he said they cause cancer because of the noise. That's completely not true, okay? But he's the president. Now, I'm just curious. I know there's the Mark Meadows of the world and a few others that fit into the character of Devin Nunes, which will say up is down and down is up if the president says so.
How about Jim Jordan?
Oh, I can keep going. But my point is, do most of them shake their head when the cameras are off and they look at you, or do they believe it? Because they won't cross them. So do they believe it, or do they nod out of fear?
You and I can't believe that they believe it. But I think most of these members are so afraid that the president is going to come in their district with his usual vulgarities, do press conferences, do town halls, do big gatherings, and attack them if they go against him. But look, I can't speak for the Jim Jordans of the world or some of the others. All I can say, some of the positions they take, playing follow the leader, when they must know in their heart that the leader, this president of the United States, is wrong on a whole range of issues. I mean, how can he talk about wind power in that way? And how can he use the vulgarities? For me, I was shocked that he became president of the United States of America when we viewed some of the obscenities used by people with whom he interacted. But the next election, I am hoping that the Republicans will not keep the White House. We have the House. I'm looking forward to taking charge in the Senate, and I'm looking forward to a Democrat in the White House and getting on with the agenda that matters to working people in this country.
Well, the Congresswoman holds the gavel now, and it's the Appropriations Committee, so you know how important that is. Congresswoman, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure for me to be here.
All right, everybody, when we come back, just about every Democrat running for president were in one place today, and we were there as well. We've got highlights and analysis after the break.